What are you doing?
Ik wil haar opnemen wie speelt. Ja, dat maakt me zaligheden.
This is not photography, right?
Ja, ja, dat is het. Ja. Zet klank uit. Zet klank uit.
Klank uit.
Ah, ja. Dat is direct, hè. Was is, gespielt is, gewöhnlich in dem Ton? Da,
Vertel hem dan eens weg. Dus in dem toon heb je al gespeeld, ja?
Ja, ja.
We play it, a fifth up. I don't play for a long time myself. I don't practice.
Mag out schön. Ich will das auch nicht. Nein, nach dem Moment. Ihr, das muss dann mal gefragt, was war Hasna, also war wenn wir vierte Kale oder so eine. Ihr gedenkt, was ihr gespielt? Oder Marsch.
The Marsch is ook gespielt, een Ukrainische Marsch, anything.
Was die das haben wir gespielt bei Wielstraßen.
Auf alle Fälle sind nicht vorhanden gewesen, gesagt, wo das ist für Jiddisch, das ist für das und das. Man spielt alles, was man gekannt. Ich habe eine Sache vergessen, habe gedacht nicht, aber es gibt eine Sache von dem. Sehr verschiedene Matches.
Was fängt das Spiel als was?
Das haben wir doch schon gespielt früher. Das ist schon Gitarre gegangen.
Ich hätte gewusst, spielen sie beim Eiern liegen.
Und dann war Miss weniger.
habt ihr allein geschrieben?
Das habe ich allein geschrieben. Na, da gedenkt nicht, ich bin influenced von etwas, aber ich habe es nicht gehört. Aber ich habe das habe ich geschrieben und habe es ungefähr in honor, in memory of my father.
Wie
Ich habe
viel?
es geriefen bei Mitzvahnigen, was ich habe es damals einmal als Schüler. Und wenn sie geworden bei Mitzvah, hat der Schüler gespielt mit mir, den bei Mitzvahnigen. Das ist der Fall.
Also,
Hat allein gespielt? Ich wollte selbst
Hat gespielt und ich habe gespielt, aber wir beide zusammen.
Ja. Ah, das habe ich nicht gewusst.
So vielleicht Sachen, was das ein ganzes Leben von einem alten Mann, das will er wissen in ein paar Minuten.
Ja, nicht kein paar Minuten, wenn ich schon mal... Wie geht das heran? Ja, das ist echt...
aber als einmal die rief man pushet an Nigen, sie ist es so
Nicken, alles ist gewähnt, nicken.
Aha. Ja, schon echt, das ist erst.
Und bei der Jiddische, wenn die Jiden vielleicht sich nehmen tanzen auf der Chasna, was war der Tanz von
Ich habe gespielt auf viele goyische Tänze, verschiedene Tänze. Habe ich bin also nicht gewesen, wie man Leute kennt tanzen.
Le Moschel los, wer ist welche Tänze?
Schon zwischen die, was ich gespielt ist, schon gewähnt die Tänze. Darf schon noch einmal dieselbe Sache.
Die Jiden haben getanzt, der Goyische Tanz? Was ist das gewesen?
Was ist das so?
Mit zwei Tänzel, a Hasidic Tänzel, you can call it anything you want. That wasn't meant for one special thing. Like for Here Comes the Bride, Here Comes the Bride.
Das ist auch freilich, heißt das.
Ja, das ist ein Freilichs.
Was
Eigentlich, das gerief mal Freilichs, wenn es das gerief mal so, ja, ich weiß was, a Hotzke.
Hotzke?
Ja, also getanzt darauf und darauf. Ja, verschiedene Sachen.
Aber gedenkt noch als erst für Hotzkes.
No. You have these things in a lot of the, for instance, Karl Bach.
Ja. Nee, das Karlbach ist etwas anderes. Right. Mir gefällt besser als zu hören.
Stecke Karl Bach, stecke so singt er das so. Karl Bach, there's nothing wrong with it, that's a Karl Bach Zach. He says, the way you play it, the way you do it, what you do with it, that's what happens.
Das sicher. Das sicher. Lass uns spielen noch einmal die, was jemand besetzt der Kalle. Das wir von euch kennen und nicht gehört.
No, ich allein, I'm not swearing, das soll besetzt.
Ja.
Was ist das, sagst du, so wie Dänisch.
Ah, ja. Spielen wir das noch einmal.
before. But das ist auch, was Teufling ist, also ich spielen hat, alles ist nur, es nimmt sich alles von der Däune. Everything is from that. And that's variations. Variations.
In dem Moment hat er Badchen gedacht.
Der Badchen, you call and you call and you da 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 That's old Danish, and there wasn't one Batchen who sang it exactly the same like the other.
Der Badchen hat auch gerade andere...
Batchen is a Azuger. Und vielleicht bring a Teile haben geriefen a Marschelik. A Marschelik und a Batchen. Und a schöne Madel davor gespielt. Das the musicians played a hot skips, that is this, and that is its Madel da. And somebody who didn't know the business spoiled the business. I used to spoil the business. They played the hot skip too long. Ich darf spielen am Maseltag für dem Mechitten, für dem Mechitten, für dem Mechitten. Und dann sage ich, wenn Sie spielen für einen Mechitten, eine halbe Stunde, ist das goodbye, macht man nicht kein Business. Because jeder Mechitten vielleicht rausnehmen ein paar Kronen in Bazul. You know? Ja.
Aber der Badchen hat gerade als er Rippe auf etwas anderes, auf eine andere Melodie, oder du hast auch gehalten?
Das ist alles, auf Philipp soll reingehen auf eine andere Melodie, soll es dieselbe Melodie. Also das ist alles von der eine Sache von Deune. Deune.
Du musst als Erflix spielen als ein Stückchen, als ein Deune.
Hast du schon gespielt, das sagt er nicht.
Erflix singen.
Vielleicht singen, also ich habe jetzt herrsch gespielt, was ist das? Vielleicht singen. Die einzige Sache ist, als ich spiele ich jedes Mal ein bisschen anders. Ja, aber es ist dieselbe Sache. Ich nehme mal nur die viele selber hintereinander. Now I'm in second position. A little practice on the violin. Dasselbe Stückchen, was ich gespielt bevor. Nur weil ich spiele nicht das Sache, noch einmal klingt das so. Es ist doch nicht mit Noten. So I'm allowed to improvise. So this is improvisations from the same idea. There's only 8 notes in music. And then there's half steps and whole steps. And then there's major scales and minor scales. So it's either it's this, or it's this. Practicing on one string. Before I was young. And then let's go from that. Like I said, yeah, I can keep on playing like that for hours and not play the same thing again over again.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
When you go into this fast time, I mean, Gicha says,
It says Gicher, and it's not about Gicher, it says according to what position you do it.
yeah.
So the fingers fall in a certain way.
No, what? Yeah.
So first you do it right. And then now I go up for half a position to the second. Back to the first. Then to the third position. And my major. To me, I didn't play for months already. Now I'm playing more today. But when you were here, then I played for.
No, it's a clean gear. You actually can't have on the lathe.
Don't forget you're talking to a guy who is 84 years old.
Wir sind in 20.
Sicher. Left enough man.
Then I'm water baiting, you know, when we get there.
You're right.
Then, yeah.
Then the velds, this one the velds, yeah.
Yeah. What have you got over there?
Ja, das ist mein Ambicha.
Ah.
Oh ja, ihr ringe finde para. Oh.
Yeah.
Ah, ich wollte eigentlich beten, efter ein bisschen später zu sehen, weil ich kann spielen die tägliche Gebet.
You have it somewhere, so I think you have it.
A long time ago. Später will ich het bewijzen. What's the problem? It's not moving? You move these strings, so you put the A next to the
More
E.
together, yeah.
And then how do you tune them?
And yeah, two E's, E and octave lower.
So is that really? And the other two you leave the same, the G and the D?
Leave the same. But I see that, for instance, this E is more or less like that.
Right. The second E is a little.
A little lower because it becomes higher by itself.
Oh, really? So, but the bottom two strings are still G and D?
Yeah, this is G and D. That remains the same. Then I take this E. And then I have two E's here. I'm always having trouble with this. Always while I was playing through the years. Now I'm already tired.
Okay, right. You earned it. That's a good verdienst. Ja, ja. Ja, von wann kennt er die Stückele?
Die Stickerle hab ich mich ausgelernt von einem, du in Amerika, von einem Spruch Spielmann.
Ah, du in Amerika?
Aber er hat es gebracht von dort.
Aha, und von wann ist er?
Er ist gewesen, dachte ich, a Zablotover, a Snetiner, a Galicianer.
Aha.
A Galician. But there was a whole Mishpucha Spielman. This guy who wrote this for me,
Aha.
his name was Julius Spielman. And he had an uncle also by the name of Spielman, a number of Spielman. That shows that they were forever in the music business, because the name was Spielman. And they came around asking, for second names. I told you, this is color, Schwartz, green, Grünert. They were Spielmans. So he was. Then we felt sorry for him. He married into some mishpucha that were in the drug business, druggists. And that means he married into for a better life. So he gave up playing the violin, and he was working in that drugstore, somewhere in the Bronx. And he was an unhappy man to the rest of his life. He took him away from something that it's his life, and they put him away in a drugstore. This is all story. Spielman's story.
Für was heißt es Turkische Gebet?
Turkish Gebet is there used to be bands who used to travel around all over the world, like you were traveling around the desert. So these people landed one time in Turkey, and they named this particular piece that they heard a Turkish Gebet, and it was accepted very good because it has this prayer. It fits a Gebet. And it's Turkish, so it's Turkish Gebet.
Die Klezmerin, was ihr gespielt mit Du in Amerika, sind gewähnt euch rumänische Klezmerin, oder?
No, das sagt Galicianer gewesen. Einer gewesen Jankov Lustig.
Was hat er gespielt?
Ein guter Klarinettist. And then die Kamenschen Schlemke Beckerman.
Der erste lebt noch?
No, ich weiß nicht, von keinem für seit sie leben. Weil sie sind weggemoved von Donnet. In der Tag in Florida, sind nicht geblieben, du.
Lustig.
So, Lustig, Jankov Lustig, was a nice guy. Was a Stückel Mensch auch. Das Klezmer, wir sollen nicht alle mal gewähnt Menschen. But, ich meine, nice man. The Spielmans were nice people too.
Sie gewinnt zwischen den anderen Klezmer da? Zwischen den Spielmanns?
Wie means sie gewähnt noch Klezmer?
Zwischen sie, ja. Noch Klezmer, zwischen den...
Oh, besides this Spielman, yes, under an uncle, gewähnt auch a Fiddlespieler.
Aha. Wie hat so geheißen?
I don't remember his name. I don't remember his first name. But this one was the better one, the one that I'm saying, Julius.
Wo ist gewinnt, wie hat geheißen auf Jiddisch?
Ne, mit allemal geht so geriefen Julius. Ne, mit keinmal nicht ausgefunden, wo es dann Jiddisch in Amerika gewesen.
Ihr gespielt für Landsmannschaften in Amerika?
Für Landsmannschaften, ja, so fragen. I tell them, you used to run a ball once a year.
In Bukowina?
In Bukowina.
Mit euch engagiert?
Nu, ich pflege es auch mal weggeben zu anderen Musicians, sie sollen spielen die Balls. Nicht mehr gewinnen, also haben wir guten Tag. Ja.
Sie gedenkt? Ja,
Ich habe nicht so viel professional gespielt, weil ich habe gearbeitet an meinem Onkels Platz in a thread business. So this was like a sideline, the music. I was more or less with my uncle in the thread business.
Was heißt das Schreibbusiness?
Food
Aber ihr in a shop?
in a shop in a factory, downstairs in a factory, in a bringen das Scheuerhäuben, in der Rote hat man das eingestellt, und man hat herausgeschickt Sales-Lots zu verkaufen, an verschiedene Spools und an...
Wie ist es gewesen?
Ich meine, around Lame Canal Street, 476 Broadway.
476 Broadway.
476 Broadway. If I'm not mistaken, they still exist. There was, and then my uncle bought off the Sea Island Thread Company. It was a Sea Island. So they were together in the one building. And then the guy who was managing my uncle's place bought it after a while. And my uncle died. He took over the whole thing. Anyhow, I was like in the thread business. And I remember one thing that I did there as a musician, that it was a big thing, the biggest thing for them in a long time, that when people came to buy the place, they were showing them how it's arranged, and the arrangements I made. And they used to bring up all kinds of boxes. This is 8/4, 10/3, this, you know, the sizes of all kinds of threads, and all kinds of ways, and all kinds of colors, like 40, 50 colors in every, whatever it is. And so they were bins, aisles, and they had bins, and in the bins they used to have, I mean, a new man used to come up, but there was a shipping clerk or whatever it was, he was a lost man until he was there about at least a year or so to find out where things are. And then when he knew it already, he still didn't know it, because when somebody came up from the factory, from downstairs, to bring the stuff up, and this particular bin was full with something else, so he went to another bin and put it in the other bin. So when you needed something, many a times a customer called up from out of town, and he says, I want the 44 green. So they run to the bin where usually the 44 green used to be, and they answered back to the office, we have no 44 green. So they have to wait like a week or two. Then they found out it is, but it is in a different bin. So I went out and I made cards like that, aisle 1, aisle 2, aisle 3, aisle 4, and before the aisles, you know. And that was A, B, C, D or something. And the others, the bins that you put the stuff in is 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. And here I had a board, and I put down the things where it belongs and what bin and where it should be. So when somebody came up from the factory, and if he had to change, let's say, this bin was full and would be too much work to put it where it belongs, so he had to take with an eraser and erase bin number 3, it's now in bin 85. And it was all there, but when you came over, when you needed something, you knew where it was. And it was all, and that was my work. A Klezmer, a musician, did that. So, I can remember a few things that I'm surprised where I got it, because from violin playing you don't, you're not supposed to know that.
Isn't der ganze Leben gearbeitet in dem?
Huh?
Ja, ihr hat ein ganz Leben gearbeitet in dem?
Dort bei Louis
Bei
Red.
der Futter?
No, weil ich habe ein ganzes Leben gewesen als Teacher, ein Violin Teacher.
Ah.
Violin Teacher.
Ja.
Allemal geteacht. Ich habe erst aufgehört, gemacht, nicht den ganzen aufgehört, aber ich habe jetzt aufgehört zu teachen. Also es kommt mir schwer. Teaching. Es ist schwer. Get aggravated. The kid is not interested in this one. Went home and he didn't practice at all, and he comes here and he wants to learn something, and I cannot just. I'm always more or less honest, so I can't stand it. So I started slowly to, like for instance, I had 2 kids, Chinese kids, come up and take 2 lessons, one after another. So I made them come one week and one the next week, or one evening, one the next evening. So I shouldn't have to give the 2 lessons together. Again, you have to use your head, to how to work things. So little by little, and then I was also in the yellow pages that I teach and buy and sell violins. So that ad is out now. No more.
It's a collector's item.
First of all, it costs money. Each time it was more and more money, and I don't want it.
Das ist gewesen ein Hauptpanus ist Lernen.
Learning, yeah. Teaching was my main hauptpanus. But I used to travel around teaching. It was not an easy job, because when you wanted to make sure, for instance, that this student, while a string might break, it get completely out of tune, the violin, or this would happen or that would happen, so you had to figure out things, what to do, how to work with it, so that you shouldn't lose a lesson for next week. So I had my ways.
Ihr sind noch Chavere mit anderen Klezmoren, was ihr gespielt mit einmal?
No, mein ganz nervös. Ich bin jetzt nur gewesen ein Teacher bisher, noch jetzt auch, und ein paar Schüler habe ich noch, was ich kann sie nicht abgeben. They stick to me and I cannot just say, I'm not going to give you a lesson no more. But I got out of the yellow pages, and that means I will not get any new ones.
Yeah.
See? And when I hear that a student calls up that he's not going to take the lesson, I make a brucha, because I don't need it to live on. I can exist without it, and it's not good for me. It's hard for me. All kind of aggravations, I don't want no more. So you got to have a little seichel, to use it, and then you might be able to go a little further, Otherwise, you could kill yourself. But with the shul, I remained. Even today, I learned, because Montik and Donnerstag you read the Torah. So I'm the Balkar in our shul. That I remained, in that capacity in the shul, and they pay me.
So, noch eine Sache, dann noch wollen wir gerne hin. Ihr gedenkt der Menschen.
Yeah. His name was Petrovsky. He used to play with me. He was my playing in my orchestra, my band. And when I got a job, I used to hire him. Yeah, that was in his good man. And he used to go out on the floor. They used to go like between the tables. While people were at the table, and he used to get out on the floor with that trumpet. People just were going crazy. He brought back more money from that stroll than we got when they hired us for the whole thing. He was very chicken.
Ich was gefunden, es ist wie ein Abend, gewinnt mit Itzik in Jivo, in der Archiv. Wir haben gut geforscht die, was ich gewinnt, alte...
Landsmannschaft.
Landsmannschaft Bücher, Landsmannschaft...
Journal.
Journal.
Juivel, souvenirjournal.
Whatever.
Wir haben uns gefunden bei der Chelnewitzels.
These other names, they have nothing to do with it. Oh, no, the dairy, that's that. But this is, what does it say on, what was it?
Schrijft zich radio recording, Maxwell M. Peters, radio recording orchestra, music of distinction, 101 East 59th Street.
Oh yeah, he was something. He had something different than a lot of others. And he was my first choice.
Who was your bass player?
That I don't remember. I really don't remember. Because I didn't always get the same bass players. So the bass players, we changed it out whenever we could get one. Sometimes he was taken. At one time I had musicians, that I always used them, and then they used to send their children.
Right.
Because they were musicians. They already had jobs for more money, so they sent the children. But it so happens that the children were pretty good. I mean, the youngsters were pretty good, and they did a pretty good job, because otherwise I would never have anything to do with them. So I always started with the father, and I never knew who was going to show up on the job. And I got sick of that too, because there's this aggravation. With musicians, you had these troubles of not coming in time. You were coming on the job and he's not there. You're on the job, you're waiting, you're already a half hour. And you don't know if he's going to show up or he's not going to show up. A klezmer, I gave that up to taking on no job. So, like I said, I was for a while teaching, and during the Second World War, a little before that, I got into that because he needed me very badly in the thread business. So being that teaching starts mostly in the afternoon when children come back from school. So I had a whole morning to do nothing with, So I worked, so I worked in the thread business. And then after that, I grabbed the violin that I had with me and went out teaching. Finished the day teaching.
Full-time Arbeit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the biggest thing is that in the family, they used to say, Leon arbeitet nicht. I don't work.
Yeah.
They were working like work, no matter what you're working like whether it's in a factory or whatever it is, you're working. This is, you're on the outside, you go to a student, you give a lesson. They don't know that I sometimes carried 2 violins so that I can leave one in the pupil's house, take his for repair, then bring his violin, and if I had 2 or 3 like that, can you imagine what I had to carry with me? So that I don't lose a lesson, because if something happens with his violin, he don't take lessons. You don't take 1 lesson, 2 lessons, until he's going to fix it. So I bring him a violin, take his violin to the repairman, bring his violin back, take his violin home, and that meant that I don't work. I don't.
No, a schönen Dank.
Yeah, thanks again.
Nice to have you. Nice. Thank you for coming.
Ja, dus ik ben nog in de fascist.
I forgot about that one. supposed to be playing all by myself, but here I see a whole band here with me.
Das ist die Sirbedachtsa.
Yeah. Das ist in der,
Stewart.
He's a talented man. He knew how to strong bass player.
Yeah.
Mischke.
Was ist Tanz mit Sasa Sirbe?
A bass player. Something I remember the job. This way the people in Alpert that way.
Ich hab mir das so ja mal gewissen.
Yeah, that's it.
Wie es bei?
Yeah, good.
Ja, okay. Hast du da Hand nicht mal?
Again the same way. I don't do things